So today we're going to go through the best value players in FC25. As we're coming up to Shapeshifters, the team more than likely in the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, as Shapeshifters is going to be a team-free basis. We are more than likely going to see massive changes across everybody's teams. But right now, we have got a specific amount of players, as we are in almost that kind of... It's almost like a week off in Ultimate Team of the Season. So we're going to start off with the goalkeepers. Now, obviously, we want to go by price for a lot of this because we want to see what the top end is looking at and if it is value for money. Now, when it comes to the goalkeepers in terms of rating, we are going to see the 96s coming in from the Champions League, from the Europa, the conferences all being 96. I still personally do prefer Van der Sar. He's always been a preference from day dot. Any version of him has always been one of my favourite. Now, obviously, I do get if you're looking at a Viviano, if you're looking at Jorgensen, even if you're going for a bit of Donnarumma, it's fair enough. Now, when I think of value for money, I'm kind of looking towards the, depending on what level of player you're thinking. Like, if we're going for out-and-out goalkeeper, 450 really isn't a bad price for one position when in a striking role, you're going to be looking at 2 to 3 mil as almost a cheap stick to go at. But when it comes to a goalkeeper, I think for me, if I was going best value for money, in terms of what you can actually get on the market right now, because SBCs are a thing, I think personally, I would be looking at the Van der Sar, I'd be looking at the Martinez, even if, and this is where on the market comes into it, because I do think the likes of Oblak and I believe ter Stegen got one, no, Szczesny got one, they're solid cards. But if I was going really further down, the easiest option you go for is De Gea. He is just an impeccable option when it comes to it. He is 94 rated. He's obviously coming in at 50,000 coins, which is absolutely beautiful. And he is worth all of his weight in gold, in my opinion. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Now if we go over to the left back role then, we are now looking at a few decent players coming in. I maybe want to zoom one out of there. You've obviously got the likes of Theo Hernandez coming in as one of the most expensive left backs. Maldini is a centre back. You could play him left back, but it ain't going there. Nuno Mendes, beautiful, great Champions League, great Portuguese victory as well. Undogi, love him as a card. He was kind of like the OG at the very start. Baude, we're looking at Mendy. And as you go further down, we see a bit of Colwell. We see Cucurella coming in at a very decent price. And in general, I'm kind of like, okay, well, we've got a fair few that you can go with that might give you a slight edge. Now, I do think when we are looking at this sort of position, I would say anybody going with the Theo Hernandez gold and Evo in him is still a solid option. You could have made him a free card and got him up quite a considerable amount, or you could have paid a little bit more for him. Now, if we are looking a little bit further down, going into the second page, we're kind of then going into the DeMarco era. We're seeing a bit of Alex Scott, Alphonso Davies in his previous version, and you can keep going to the DeMarcos and Lewis Skelly, who is a great option. And to be honest, is probably the one I would go for. I think the only other option that I could see would be the likes of a Nuno Mendes, but I do think Lewis Skelly, with the fact that he can play in that CDM role as well, is just nice for a versatility point of view. So for me, Skelly's going to make the cut on the left back. Like I say, it's not the best player, it is the best for value in my opinion. Going over to the right hand side then, again we're looking at Hakimi jumping right to the top. In his very first special card, he's got himself a 96 alongside the Reece James of the world, who again has not had many special cards and has jumped right to the top in that 96. Chaloba, we've obviously got Gusto, who could play the right back. Carl Walker's still coming in at a pretty premium price, to be honest. I'm surprised we haven't seen any more from his AC Milan kind of tournaments, but we are interested to see where he can go into the footies era. That could be where he really kind of picks himself back up. Thuram, nice option. Obviously, Balde can do both positions. Carvajal still being very good, as well as then the likes of Carfu is always going to be pretty insane anyway. And we are getting into a lot of the 90 to 93s with Evo, so it's a very interesting one to see which one you'd go for. Now, evolution points of view are always going to be very wary. Like Thuram, it's going to be a great one for an 88. You can get him up a considerable amount. Same as Cancelo. Always a solid option, but there is a lot of team of the seasons to go through, which is why when you do go down rating, well, you go down price-wise, you will see kind of a few players coming in from SBCs or just players that were harder to get at some point, and then you see the flocks of team of the seasons. You see a Kimmich coming in at 83,000. You see Rico Lewis with his SBC a little bit expensive, and as you keep going down, you will see more and more coming into it. So sometimes rating is going to be a nice one because you can kind of see the top end here, which is going to be all of the almost the champions, what is it, the European championships going in. Hakimi being the only right back, I believe, from them. And then you also get a few of the top team of the seasons. You've got an SBC from Frimpong. You've obviously got Kimmich, who can play a couple of positions. And then we do throw in a few of the shapeshifters from the season as well. If I was to pick a card that I think in terms of value of what you could get, I think this one was always going to be as easy as possible, kind of going through the options. He was a free one last season, was Lala. Absolutely insane. If you're not going for an Evo, if you're not going for an SBC like Thuram, for me is still an absolute cracking one. For 1.6 mil, I know expensive, but he's been available for a considerable amount of time. He is a very good right back, and possibly at the time of going out, at the start of the team of the season, the best right back in the game. Whereas Lala, as a free right back goes, outrageous. As centre back goes then, so this is always an interesting one because a lot of the time, like for instance my team, Virgil van Dijk in any sort of Evo is going to be number one. I mean, you can't really argue with him. He is insane in any version. Now, centre-backs have definitely come up tenfold. You look even at a Jonathan Tah at 366 as a 97. Insane with a quadruple. Romero with his 97. Beautiful. Many, many different versions of Virgil as well. We've obviously got Van de Ven, who's outrageous in the price. Archie Gray. We then got a few more. We got Marquinhos coming in quite cheap, to be honest, for his 96. I know he does have a team of the season as well as Pacho that does come in that little bit cheaper, but you can kind of see the levels we've got. And even Oblak as a centre-back, in brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But we are going to see a lot of Evo centre-backs more so than anything. And I do think if we are looking at kind of for the price, I think one of them, in my opinion, has to be Pacho. If you're going for a little bit of links, but the quadruple playstyle plus on top, anticipate, block, jockey, relentless, that is a great number one in my opinion, if I'm not going for Evos as well, because you can't really go with some of them in case they're not there. And then I think if we're looking down a few of the lists as well, Saliba, still very good for the price, but I'm trying to keep the price point that little bit on the lower side, because obviously if you're trying to build a full 11, it's harder, like everybody's got the ability to put 11 mil, 12 mil into the team, liquid as well. It's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, I would have had one in here. If he did have the quadruple, Hummels was going to be a great shout for this. When he was coming in the end of era, especially at the end of team of the season, a quadruple would have been absolutely outrageous for him. But as he's an objective player, he's still very good. And I think he could be an option if you are looking for a very cheap option. He most definitely is worth a looking at the minimum. But unfortunately, they really did mess with the card a little bit, in my opinion. So if we just keep going a bit further down, you will obviously see quite a lot of these centre-backs coming in with everything you need, to be honest. And I do think when you look at the likes of Kounde, solid right back if you really wanted to. You obviously keep going down and you will find the man. That is Marquinhos. 71,000, aerial, intercept, anticipate. 93 rated. That for me is a solid centre-back. He's had a little bit of an upgrade. Obviously if you look at this version, slightly better, but a considerable price jump that I just don't think is worth it. He is going to be available for evolution soon, so if you do manage to get a quadruple, you could get a block, you could get a slide tackle. It's just going to tenfold this card in my opinion, and I think for value, that is going to be one that is well worth partnering. And obviously when it comes to the partnership, he's got Pacho, he's got Lala there. It's a great kind of triple there in my opinion, so he is going to be the second centre back. Now CDMs. I've got 3 centre mids in there. It's going to be a CDM, a centre mid, and a cam. I think the centre mid is easy. We'll kind of get back to him slightly, but I do think there is some very good DMs that you can get in here, especially with a lot of these championship sides, the Europa winners or the European winners. There's a solid amount. Like the likes of even Sarr, Bentancur, Gray, Caicedo at a mouth-watering price, but outrageous. Even an Enzo. I do think if I was going for the CDM that I think is going to be worth the money that you're paying, maybe not necessarily your conventional one, but I think he's still got some life in him. And that CDM is going to be our team of the season, Conte. 480, so a little bit more expensive into the midfield. I just think what he brings, A, being French, so he's got plenty of links around the pond, lovely and easy, but he's still insane. He's still such a good card. 96 rated, quadruple playstyle plus. It's everything you need. And I think next to him, an easy one as well, and I think they absolutely smashed it with him. It's a João Neves. I think with a quadruple, slightly better than his 96, which is very surprising in itself, but another crazy card for very, very cheap. It's just an easy kind of partnership, especially the Liga, and they really have just made them that little bit better, in my opinion, than most. When it comes to CAM, a little bit more difficult. There's obviously a lot of high-end cards that you can go with. You look at your Bellinghams, your Putellas, your Cole Palmers, even then the Messi. Like Messi in general as a CAM, sitting behind two strikers would be incredible. You've obviously got Leao that can play there as well. So there's so many options that you can go with. Now if we're kind of going down the list and thinking, who's going to be the better price for all of this? There is definitely some nice options. You look at the first Eredivisie team, outrageous, great quadruple play style plus. There's a few that I would change, but it's not a bad for a very first go in my opinion. And obviously then we've got the likes of Matteo coming in for the striking role that we keep ahead on. And even Shaqiri, I think Shaqiri really took that position and he's still 230 in such an off league with the kind of name that he is. It's amazing to see the price really hold its kind of own there, to be honest. And as we go further down, you'll see obviously a few more of obviously the shapeshifters, which I cannot wait to go for. I do think Kevin De Bruyne is well worth it in my opinion. And to be honest, he'd be my pick. He really would. For the price that you're paying, I know he's a little bit more expensive, but if we think we've got so much grinding available for these SBCs, and to be honest, over Team of the Season, there hasn't been a great deal where I've been like, I want that card instantly. So I've kind of got myself a lot of fodder. I think Kevin De Bruyne, for the CAM version that he's going to be, especially if that is a final card, would be the most valuable and most usable card you will have to this date in a CAM role. So I don't think there's too much debate between him. Let me know down below if he's too expensive for you, but I do think that card is well worth its weight in gold, in my opinion anyway. Right wings. So again, we're going down the massive route. We've got the Hansons, the Dembeles, the Salah with a stunning design. Like genuinely, they went nuts with this. I love when they put the trophies in. Obviously Rafinha, you obviously got Dembele, Salah. I'll be very interested to see if they do Ronaldo with the Portuguese trophy. Whether that is going to be based around national or not, I don't know. Obviously got Yamal 2.7, Cole Palmer again, Rafael Leao, Messi. But you want to go a bit further down because they're always going to be incredible players regardless. What are the most valuable for the price that you're paying? And there's a few. I do think Barcola at 280. Still an unreal player that you can go. Quick step, press proven, finesse. It's a great price for what you're getting as a 96 as well. Elise would definitely be one that I would be considering. I think another one that kind of throws himself in. Wilson would possibly be one of the better strikers you can get for that price, but we'll kind of come to a Hansen. Little bit underwhelming, I must admit. I was kind of hoping for the finesse at the minimum. I do think, for me, Brendan Johnson really puts that in. But with Hansen, I do think she just got shafted a little bit. It just wasn't the card we kind of expected from her, to be honest. And then the same, we've got the 96 Barcola. Obviously, Gvardiol is going to be incredible. And we can keep going down, all the way down, until we find our boy, Ferran Torres. Now, a solid option at the best. We got him for free in the season pass. As the most efficient, I would say he's up there. He really, really is. He's got the rapid, the press proven, the low driven. Still the same sort of issue as Hansen. He may have the quadruple, but technical being thrown in there as well. is always an under question. We did get a Nico Williams, a little bit harder of an objective to go for if you really was trying for that, but it was still possible if you wanted. And we did have the Mahrez. I think Mahrez was all right, to be honest, but I think for me it goes back to it again. When we're looking at kind of chem options, looking at players, I do think the bench boy himself coming onto the front pitch is going to be Diaby. 130k, great links to Conte if you didn't want any of these. It's a stunning buy. He is quick, he has got the stats, he has got the playstyle pluses, he is a 4-star, 5-star, he is brilliant. It's an easy option for me when it comes to the price point of him, and I do think he will definitely offer you exactly what you need on that winging role. When it comes to the left-hand side though, again, we've got loads of options. Most now can play right and left. So you'll see Yamal, you'll see Rafinha, you'll see Mbappe, you'll see Doué at 4.1. Outrageous design as well. Love the dynamic. Probably one of the best dynamics we've got this year. But if we keep going down, I do think when we look at Barcola, he's in the front running. In my opinion, I think right now, looking through a lot of these, he would kind of be one of the major options I'd go for the price that you're paying. We even see a bit of Vinny, and maybe Vinny isn't quite at the best of what he normally is. He's still a sensational card just because the price is lower. Vinny is outrageous in any position, so just be very wary of that. The price is a major factor. Like, clearly there's a supply and demand there, but most definitely I wouldn't kind of throw him out as a non-goer at this point. But we do keep going down. You've obviously got the Marcus Rashfords, you've got your Ronaldinhos, your Ferran Torres, who I think is great for the price that you're paying. Then you obviously got your Doués from the SBC. But I do think when we do look through quite a few of these, it's quite an easy option for Barcola, in my opinion. Ligue 1 got it so right in this. I just think they absolutely stormed a lot of it. And then when it came to going into the later team of the seasons, they just weren't on that level, in my opinion. They were just a bit underwhelming. We already had the team of the seasons from Ligue 1. There was a lot of packs open, so the players came down low. They also had a massive pack weight as well. It seemed to be from Bundesliga onwards, the pack weight was just non-existent. So whether they overestimated it for Ligue 1 and that caused them to be a cheaper price, it's always an interesting one. Or whether the fact that PSG won the Champions League and made better cards, people want them cards rather than the previous. But when we look at that final position in the striker, loads of names, absolutely loads. Dembele at 2.8, 1.3 for Salah, 1.1 for Haaland, let alone Mbappe at 4.2. We have Matteo coming in at 680, a great card if I do say so myself. They even added the women's dynamics as well. Stunning, absolutely brilliant. Leao going to come in at the end of the season. That's going to be an incredible card in itself, as well as then the 5-play star plus Kaka, which is just unreal in itself as well. But I do think when you do look at the likes of a Wilson, I think she possibly could come in as one of the best cards that we've got. I think Isaac is most definitely up there, but for 290, if you know how good she is, you go and you know exactly how incredible of a striker she can be compared to the price of the others. Like obviously your Mbappe's, your Sons, maybe even a cheeky bit of Victor could go in there. I'm always a big fan of Griezmann as well. I think Griezmann is another one. If he had a rapid or a quick step, that would have really turned that card into an absolute number one, in my opinion. So I do think there's always the interesting ones. You've obviously got Suarez, you've got a bit of Benzema, and then you go further down for the Dembeles. But I personally do think if you are looking at a striker for the price that you're paying at that top end level, Wilson is absolutely up there. And that is going to be the best team so far for the value. Let me know if there's any other beasts down below that you want to put in the comments, and we'll kind of pick through a few of them. We might even do this in a couple of weeks after Shapeshifters. I am going away this weekend, so it might be the coming weekends that are obviously going to be more based around the Shapeshifters anyway. So leave it down below, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace!